What's up, everybody? This is Nate here.
It's Kev.
Yo, 2/3 of the high trapeze act that is GamesMusicLyfe.
We
And we're back with a review for this Run the Jewels album titled Run the Jewels 3.
Trece.
Hey, man, were you a Run the Jewels fan?
Yes.
You were?
I like Run the Jewels, the
say?
original, the first project. 2 was, it was cool, but it didn't have the same luster. But I was excited for Run the Jewels 3.
I was too. I mean, I think, it was on Gears of War 4 was one of the tracks were on there, and the political stances of Killer Mike. I always, look forward to hearing from him. I'm a Killer Mike fan.
Absolutely.
Not so much LP fan. I like LP, but I think sometimes he does a little shock rap thing that kind of gets on my nerves. But on 2 he did that a lot, and on 1 he didn't as much, and on this one we'll get into it as well. But so going into it, this is their 3rd album. It kind of came out of nowhere. It was supposed to come out in January, but it just dropped in December right for the end of the year.
Physical's coming out on the 13th.
Is it?
Yeah. So
okay.
They leaked it themselves, I guess.
Really?
Yeah. Apparently.
Hey, they make a killing, man, and they got like a cult following too.
As they should.
I like the fact that it reinvented Killer Mike, because I always thought he was an underrated MC that never got his due.
Yeah, me too.
He
kind of caught on at the tail end of Dungeon Family.
Yeah.
When Outkast was about to split, so he kind of got caught in that.
Yeah, and they kind of, Outkast stopped being as active as they were.
Yeah.
And I think he was on the cusp of that, because I always looked at him as like the honorary 3rd member of Outkast. Like, it would have been dope if he'd have been a part of him or whatever. But, all right, so let's get into it, man. So going into it is their 3rd project. Track 1, Down, featuring Joy. What'd you think?
Man, I love the way that this track set the tone for the album, man. Kind of hit on all the topics that they were going to be talking about through the album, with politics, race, the streets, the game, the music business, and also just, a little bit of braggadocio. I felt like it meshed well. Mike comes out really just with a moment of clarity, speaking on his life and his mistakes and how they've kind of led him to where he's at today.
Yeah.
L comes in, starting his verse. It almost kind of sounds like a spoken word verse.
Yeah.
He doesn't really come through like he's kicking a flow, but it was impactful. Just talking about the tough times that he's experienced leading up to the formation and the success of Run the Jewels. So definitely thought this was a great way to kick off the album.
I mean, to mirror your thoughts, I definitely thought the same thing. This is one of the to kick off the album. It was definitely good, and I think the theme of the album, going like the bad theme or good theme of it, is keeping L focused. Because sometimes he drifts off and just kind of rhymes words, and I'll get into it later in the album. Some of the songs I felt like he did that, which in a way is still showing a skill, but it kind of ventures off from like, what are you talking about? I kind of get some of those parts. But this track, definitely a good start to the album. Killer Mike does what Killer Mike does, and like you say, both explain kind of their side of everything. The beat was very dope. And definitely good intro to the album. That very bass heavy track too, which is kind of a theme on the album as well. Yeah. Very bassy. But okay. So track 2, Talk to Me. On this one, man, this was the one that was on Gears of War 4. So I've heard this one before. A lot. I actually heard it on the music awards as well. The Keeleys that came on this year, which kind of got me excited for the album, which I anticipated to come out in January, but they dropped it at the end of the year, and we're just not getting around to review it just because it was end of the year kind of cut off.
Yeah.
But I thought it was a very dope track, man. I mean, I've heard it before, so it's kind of like I was kind of a little numb to listening to it, because I've listened to it so many times on the actual Gears of War game, and then kind of like it was the only single that kind of had leaked before the album had got out. But it's hip hop, man, very funky.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, I felt like this is another track that was just kind of ramping up the pace, setting the tone for the album, both sonically and lyrically. I love the energy. No hook, which I'll get into a little bit more in this album review, but I thought that was a strength across this album. They didn't force hooks into these songs, which a lot of times can be tough, because the hook is kind of what makes a song stick with the listener. It's something that they can remember, easy to repeat. If you can't even hang with the verses, a lot of times you can get with the chorus. So a lot of artists tend to force a hook in there just so that way they have that element. But they didn't force it on this album, and I thought that was a good thing. This was another song where they just show you just flexing straight bars, and I enjoyed that.
Okay, that's what's up, man. Okay, so track 3, Legend Has It.
Yep.
What'd you think?
Man, love the energy of the track. I had a booming bass line. Love the back and forth between Mike and LP. The track doesn't have a hook again. Just uses beat breaks and samples, kind of break the song up. And I thought that played well into their strengths as well.
Okay. I mean, here are my notes. I mean, I definitely love the back and forth between them two. It definitely kind of pointed out the strengths that they both have, but kind of going back and forth. Even at some point, Mike would do a bar and then LP would rhyme the bar, so it was kind of dope. I felt like it did that. This song actually probably, I'm sure, incites fights at their concerts because that's one thing I heard. I had written down from it was like, this is a fighting song. Like people are gonna get so amped up, the mosh pits are gonna happen, and that's one thing about Run the Jewels. Like even when you see people, like you'll run into people. I ran into people on the street who. Some of my people at work who I wouldn't even think would have been hip hop fans, they love Run the Jewels.
Yeah.
You know, and I think with LP and Killer Mike together, I think the things they talk about kind of does that. Maybe that's the reason why. But I can see, like, listening to this song, just seeing a riot going on. Like, it's a big fight and a big mosh pit going. So I definitely thought it was dope. Track 4, call Tinkertron? Tinkertron.
Ticketron.
Ticketron. Okay, I can't read my own writing.
Good.
What I had written down on this one, man, bass. You know, heavy bass track. Once again, you know, just a very just upbeat song. It kind of sounds like a, you know, like a just like kind of throwbackish a little bit. But it was, you know, I definitely nodded my head to it. But one thing about this song and later in the album, it's kind of like this song sounds like another one I was listening to on here too. But you know, just upbeat, like I said, bass. They both, you know, rapping wise, they both talked about some good things on that song, and I felt that on this one, LP kind of drifted a little bit. Although Killer Mike rings it back in together, and I've noticed that on some of the songs, like LP kind of drifts a little bit on what he's talking about, but then Mike comes back and they kind of get it together, almost like they kind of like muted themselves and told each other to get it together. So, you know. But that's what I thought about that one.
Well, you know, to kind of piggyback on that, man, I think it's no secret that Mike is the superior MC in this group.
Yes.
So, and I mean, but to me, I felt like this was the song where it really started to kind of come across. Mike stole the show on this song. But what I will say is that I felt like this was the point where you notice how beneficial LP is to the sound of Run the Jewels, and how having, you know, that one producer or, you know, one person kind of overlooking the production on the album really benefits the both of them. At this point in the album, this song, what I found was really dope was the transition from Legend Has It to Call Ticketron. It sounds like it's, you know, one song just kind of going on, and there was just a little bit of a transition in the beat, or a little bit of a break there, which I thought was super dope. Keeps the energy and the pace. The beat sounds like it was building up. It almost sounds like the beat is about to explode through it. With it, got a simple but really effective hook, and it highlights Mike's just effortless flow.
Yeah.
And I really felt like that's where he started to ramp it up. You know, he was trading off bars on that last one, but on this song is where he was like, all right, yeah, time to kick it into overdrive. You know what I'm saying? So, again, I thought it was dope, and I thought that at this point in the album, this is where the flow really started to come in.
Yeah, I like the fact that sometimes you can tell L kind of like gets quiet and just let Mike go.
Yeah.
You know, I kind of like that. And he did on that song as well. All right, so track 5.
Hey Kids
featuring Danny Brown. What'd you think?
Boomaye. With it, again,
Boomaye, I forgot that part.
I felt like this is another part of the last two tracks. It transitions in, the beat and the pacing actually stays the same. There's actually, I want to say maybe a synth, or it may just be like a really tuned drum that carries on throughout the three tracks. You switch paces a little bit, but it's the same instrument to kind of tie everything together. Again, the beat was really aggressive, but it still had a spaced out sound to it. I like the kid at the beginning, man, that when the beat just kind of drops and the kid's like, this is crazy. And then the beat just goes off. I thought that was dope because the kid was right. It was crazy.
Yeah.
In here, man, I love Danny Brown's verse on here, man. I thought Danny Brown came in, and he came in at the perfect point in this album to that point to kind of break up the monotony between Mike and L. Because even though, you know, Mike's an extraordinary lyricist, and you know, LP holds his own on these tracks.
Right.
With them not having any real hooks or anything like that, like sometimes you're gonna need a little bit of a refresher, and I felt like Danny Brown was that refresher. Came in with his real high pitched nasally flow, and he really came in with great timing, and it keeps you engaged in the track. So I really liked it.
Okay, I mean, I love the track. I just didn't like Danny Brown's portion of it.
Really?
I didn't. You know, it just came in really annoying to me, almost like it's like he was trying to. First of all, we know who you are, Danny Brown. We know what you're famous for. We know that nasally flow is kind of what he's known for. But it seemed like it was over the top a little bit on this one. I just had it written down annoying on with him. I just had that written down. Had a Persian feel to it, like almost like if it was a Disney movie, Aladdin, and Aladdin had some downtime, he'd be playing this song. You know, like he was on his carpet. That's what I think he would be playing is this track. But you know, beat was definitely very dope. You know, production was very good once again. So you know, I thought it was okay. I liked it, but I just didn't. The Danny Brown part, I don't know. And I'm not a big Danny Brown fan.
See, I think that might be where it comes from.
That's where it comes from. I'm not a big Danny Brown fan, so I am admitting of that. Okay, so let's see. Track 6, Stay Gold.
There we go.
All right. throwback vibe, man, on this one. It was once again, heavy bass. Both Mike and LP spoke on things that they value just like gold. And Mike kind of got into some of the things he liked as far as women. LP did as well. Tomorrow, how he could appreciate a woman being like gold. And then L just kind of reached off in some shock rap that kind of took me by surprise. Talking about golden showers and things. And I'm just like, kind of missed me a little bit on that. But I got what he was trying to say. So even though it was shock rap, I appreciate the fact he could rhyme words. That's one thing I will say is LP's strength. He can rhyme a word. I mean, he can get them together. It's just that sometimes it's like it's reeling him in, so. And then once Mike comes in, it's like, he comes in, talks about the things he likes, and it's kind of like they kind of go, well together, So I thought the track was pretty dope.
Yeah. Now with it, for me, this track was a little bit of a slowdown from, the previous tracks on there. To me, it had a really strange beat, and it sounded like they were working in a sample of Mike's son saying, stay gold at the beginning. Mm-hmm. And I mean, it worked. It was cool. I felt like the hook on this track was a bit lackluster. It was lacking something. But the verses were strong. I actually found it really funny when LP said, me and Mike just can't stop high-fiving, and then the snare clap comes in. I was like, okay, that's dope. That was dope. He played that. He played that pretty strong. But overall, this song was a bit of a slowdown. Not a bad track, but not one of my favorites on the album.
Okay. Let's see. Track 7. Don't get captured. What'd you think?
Man, I thought it started off with, again, a really spacey sound and then moved into a traditional 808 sound. Had kind of an old school 808 sound to it. It had a really wide, spread out synth sound that was riding throughout the track. The beat had some great transitions with some dope scratching breaks, which I thought was, I thought that was like the essence of hip hop, which is where Run the Jewels kind of fits for me. Like they're kind of bringing an updated hip hop sound, but they're keeping it hip hop, and I think that's really dope of them. And I felt like this was a track where, their strength shined.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, to mirror your thoughts, definitely the scratching got me and pulled me in as well. Dope track. LP. I didn't like his verse on this one, but once again, Mike kind of pulls it back in together. Yeah. As far as like we said earlier in the album, as far as Mike being the superior MC of the two, he shines again on this one, and you can't help but compare the two because it's only those two in the group, and Mike kind of does a better job of that. Not saying LP is bad. It's just kind of, he just ventures off sometimes, man. It's like talking about anything really. It's just rhyming a word that goes to another word. It doesn't have any meaning behind it. But, I do like the track. It was my favorite track all the way up to this point of the album. It's probably the first 7, probably the best one to me.
I feel that.
All right, so track 8, Thieves, Screamed the Ghost, featuring Tunde Boombaye?
Wasn't even gonna try, bro. You a brave man.
Hey, man, I got it, man.
Brave
I think I knocked
man.
it out. If I didn't, I apologize. All right. The beat, man, it sounded repeatable. Like almost like it sounded like an earlier track on the album. Yeah. Like I was listening to it, and I had to almost stop myself and go back. Like, have I heard this song before? Not saying it was a bad beat. I'm not saying it was a bad production. It just kind of just sounded like something earlier in the album. Mike's offering once again is very decent. It felt like he slowed it down a little bit for this one. Mm-hmm. Not as upbeat as he normally would be. Kind of like he wanted us to hear what he was saying. He definitely talked about some things on it. Mike, if you don't know, he's very political. He talks about a lot of things. He was the one who talked about Bernie Sanders endorsed him before when Bernie was running, and he kind of gets to some of that on this one. But it was like it wasn't bad. It wasn't really terribly good. I could do with it, but it was okay. I thought that was all right.
See, man, I thought that this was a really dope track, and aside, I thought the beat was fine and all that stuff, but I really loved the message of it, and I like the theme of the song. I like the way that Mike kind of set the tone of the song at the very beginning, letting you know that this is going to be a conversation with a ghost, essentially. And he goes on to talk about systems of racism in America and how these systems keep working on itself to keep the system in place, talking about how riots are caused, and then we focus on the riots but not focusing on the reason that the riots are taking place. So nothing ever changes. I felt like there were a lot of layers on this track. I just thought it was dope. I just thought it was dope.
He got into it. He definitely did.
Yeah,
he definitely did. All right, so track 9, 2100 featuring Boots.
Yeah.
What'd you think?
Man, I love this track. I like the guitars on there with the organs. It was simple, clean, and crisp, but very powerful. Mike and Elle spitting about how the people will go along and, just kind of trying to stick together and get through these tough times, even though times may not be what you want them to be. We'll get through them. We'll persevere. We'll find a way. I thought that, to kind of juxtapose the last track, that this was more of an uplifting message, letting them know that even though these problems are in place, we'll get through it. We always do get through it. People persevere. That's why we dominant species. So, you know what I'm saying? I thought that was dope. And again, you know what I'm saying? Keeping it hip hop. I love that they had a message in the music. Even though some of the songs were playful, they still brought the message. I like that.
Yeah, hip hop is definitely hit it on the head what you're saying. I mean, this one, up until this point, this was my favorite track. I love this one. I did. I love the beat. I loved everything about it. I love the fact that the Boots, whoever it is, female or male, I don't know, it broke up both of the artists. Just like kind of earlier with Danny Brown. I'm not a Danny Brown fan, but like you said, it definitely was good to hear someone else do the chorus or kind of break up the two MCs. On this one, this person Boots shined as well. So it like to get up for this one. You could tell this is one of the tracks that they love too. You could tell that Mike and Elle, definitely love this song. So I felt like it was okay. I found myself listening to this one more. When I went back and listened to the album, I looked at how many times I listened to each song. I listened to this one more than any of them. So that one was a good one for me.
There you go.
All right, so number 10, let's see. Panther, Like a Panther, featuring Trivia. Oh, Trina. I'm sorry.
Trina, yeah. Trina, the baddest.
Yeah, the baddest. Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
They brought her back out. I don't know where she was hiding at. Once again on this one, man, I don't want to be like a broken record. Elle was just rhyming words, man. He was just kind of just talking. And almost like he comes off like he's like a spoken word at times. So sometimes he gets animated and he just kind of start rhyming and spazzing out. I didn't think it was bad because it is a skill to do that. I'm not trying to take anything away from that, but he was just kind of rhyming words, kind of stood out to me. Mike did his thing. I mean, once again, Mike just kind of pulls it in, man. He pulls everything in. Good wordplay. Almost like they said, throw a beat on and let's just rap. That's kind of like what it sounded like to me. Like, let's put a beat on, let's just show how good we are. And that's kind of what it sounded like to me. That's going back and forth.
Yeah. I mean, with it, again, I actually love this beat, man. It had like some really racy drums with some power chords in the back, which I thought was dope. Like you said, Elle sometimes will veer off, or sometimes it can be kind of hard to pull down exactly what Elle is trying to say. But I feel like Mike always brings it back and ties it together with a nice little bow. With it on this track, they're talking about kind of challenging the norms, and more specifically, they're actually talking about challenging, the system of religion as it stands today, and the churches and how they preach one thing but can do another. Sometimes you kind of gotta have to navigate through the mud in there. And I thought that was dope. Again, what I'm saying, hip hop with a message, coming with something but not being preachy. So I thought it was another good track.
Yeah, one of the lines on there, Mike said something about church being a business, and I was like, ooh.
Yeah.
It kind of stood out to me. Like, I mean, it is.
Yeah, he kept it real.
Right. No doubt, man. Definitely. All right, so track 11, Everybody stay calm.
What'd you say? Ooh, man, Mike came with that aggressive flow. That just super aggressive verse on there, man. Through the whole song just reminded me of a robbery. Just run the jewels. You know what I'm saying? Run them jewels, baby. Ski mask way. Exactly. I like that. And I like the everybody stay calm. You know what I'm saying? While he just sitting there talking about he can put that thing in your face.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I like that.
Yeah, exactly. I had written down was aggression. It just sounded like an aggressive. If a robbery was going on, I can see that song being played.
Get the Draco.
I can hear it. Get the Draco. So yeah, man, Mike. I think that's Mike's pocket though, man. Like the thing about it is with him, anybody have heard him talk or rap before or anything, it's like, or even talk. I'll say talk. It's like he's a very passionate dude about the things he's passionate about. So you can actually see, like, I don't think he'd rob anybody, but if he did, he might be playing this song.
Yeah. You made me want to grab the Draco.
Yeah, exactly. Get the Draco out.
You know what I'm saying? Man. Big Draco.
Big Draco. Don't get it right. Say Soulja from the hood. All right, so track 12, Oh Mama.
Yeah.
Funky. I just got funky with an exclamation point written down for this one. Mike and Elle both sound dope on this one, man. I really love this track. I felt like they were just talking to, it's definitely a lot of people as far as, the message that they try to get across on a lot of their songs is like the impact that Run the Jewels has from what they talk about is more important than anything, I think. And I kind of, at one point, didn't really realize why, why they had so much of a cultural impact. Because, if you don't know, LP's white and Mike is black. So, they both come from, same areas or whatever, and they both have been around for a long time. But this one actually kind of, like, shined. If it was any track, if someone would say, like, who was Run the Jewels, I would put this one on for him and let him listen to it.
Yeah. Man, I really like the transitions in this track, man, kind of going from a rock sound to just a heavy hip-hop sound on there, and I was doing it seamlessly. Again, even beyond the message, I just like the rapping on here, man.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? The back and forth, just a brilliant 8-bar back and forth between Mike and Elle. Both were holding their own. Flows were clean, crisp, marriage with the production, it was a good track, man. It kept it riding.
Okay. All right. So track 13, Thursday in what's it?
Thursdays in the Danger Room.
Okay. Featuring Kamasi Washington.
Wasn't even gonna try it, man.
Hey, man.
Wasn't even gonna try. You a brave man. You know what I'm saying? Boom.
Okay.
Boom. There we go. I like that.
What'd you think?
Man, again, I really like the layers of the production on this track. From what I gathered on it, Mike and Elle were both talking about losing a loved one. Elle talking about losing a loved one to sickness or disease. I believe it was actually cancer, and how hard it was kind of dealing with that, and not only losing them, but kind of living with them up to the point that they were losing them, and and then only to realize that they may not be here with you physically, but all the moments that you shared together, all the things that you learned together, everything that they taught you still lives on. Their legacy lives on through you. Yeah. And, the way that they touched those lives, they're still here with you in those ways. And, Mike following the same thing, even though the friend that he's referring to, lost his life from a robbery, to gun violence. But how, loss, regardless of the circumstances, always affects people, very similarly. And, I thought that was a really dope track, really introspective, that they would, kind of touch on that, get a little bit more personal. I thought that was cool.
Yeah, I did as well. I thought it was very dope. I think Elle shined on this one. He talked about, I think, of anything, he was the one that actually stood out to me the most on this song. Definitely talking about losing somebody up until the end, and he painted a good picture of it too. Now the beat was a little bit repetitive in my opinion. I could have swore I heard this beat earlier in the album once again, but what they were talking about was definitely very personable. I love the fact that with Mike, he's always been known for painting a good picture, and I think Elle kind of was in his pocket as well. Man, just did a very good job of showing some of the things he could do. Like I said, if I'm going to criticize him earlier in the album for kind of rhyming words and going off, I'm definitely going to praise on this one because he did his thing on that one.
Yeah.
All right, so track 14, last track on the album. Let's see. Repeating to the...
A report to the shareholders / Kill Your Master.
Kill Your Master. The transition was very dope on this one. I love that. It definitely shifted to the to both songs. This one was definitely one of my favorite tracks on the album. Ended the album very well. The first half I love better than the second half, but because I have to listen to the first half to get to the second half, I will definitely stomach that one. But it wasn't bad. I'm not saying it was bad. I just love the first half. And once again, if I had to show somebody what Run the Jewels was, I would put this song on as well. Yeah. It was definitely a good track, man. I love the beat. The production on that one, the first half was dope to me.
Yeah. On here, man, I actually felt like this track was a continuation of Close Your Eyes from, the first Run the Jewels project. They brought back Zach De La Roche from Rage Against the Machine, one of my old school favorite bands from back in the day.
Okay.
Just teaming up again, man. I love the themes of breaking out of the day-to-day and the challenges of the system and, acknowledging that though it's something that you should strive to do, that, it is going to be hard or it's going to be difficult because the system is designed to kind of keep you in one place, but just know that, it's not impossible. I thought it was a great way to end the album, a great reminder of who Run the Jewels is, what they stand for, what they're about, and, it was just overall disruption. I really like that. It was a nice way to close out the chapter.
Yeah, I said this. I definitely felt the same way, man. Definitely hearing your thoughts. All right, man. So all in all, what'd you think?
To me, man, this is the best project from Run the Jewels. I thought it was better than Run the Jewels 1 and definitely better than 2. Not to say that 2 is bad, but 2 is my least favorite of the series so far. But I felt like on this album, man, they really are finding their pocket, or they're finding a groove. They've worked together so much at this point that they know each other's strengths and weaknesses. They know what the people want to hear from them, and they delivered.
Yeah.
So I thought that was dope, man. Even though we're just now reviewing it, man, I thought it was a great way to close out the year. On a hip hop tip, because you look at you go back and watch that top 10 list. It's not a whole lot of hip hop in those top 10s because last year was not a very strong year for hip hop. Unfortunately, we had some good projects, but not a whole lot of really strong projects. But I felt like this was a great chapter or a great way to end out 2016 for hip hop. I hope more people get out there and hear this project. I can't really see where anybody who is a fan of rapping would not enjoy this project.
Right.
From the bars to the topics of conversation to the production, everything was very solid. I rated the only beef I had with this. Some of the hooks were a little bit weak on here, which happens to guys who are really, really talented rappers. Sometimes hooks can be a challenge, and on here at parts they were a challenge. Even though I thought that they brought in a lot of really talented artists to kind of pick up the slack there for them. But with that, man, I had to rate this album out at an 87.
Okay, that's what's up, man. I definitely thought I got a little scared before the album just because they were getting so much popularity. Like sometimes when
Get like a commercial.
Yeah, even Run the Jewels, they're popular. Like I said, a lot of people know them, but it was like they were still kind of underground a little bit. They kind of had an underground feel. So when they were on Gears of War and it was on the Keeleys, I got a little nervous. Like I don't know how this album's gonna be because even the main track I was saying I was on Gears of War, I liked it, but I was kind of like, it was okay. I could do without it. But they definitely did their thing on the album itself. One thing I will say that I will give a little criticism on is it could have used some features singing-wise to do the hooks, like you said, because the hooks has kind of got to the point where it would either be just letting the beat ride or they would just do something repetitive over and over, saying a word over, kind of getting the song to stick into your head. I thought that it could have been, maybe some soulful R&B, maybe, I don't know, like somebody on the hook a little bit more, maybe on one or two tracks. Get rid of Danny Brown and put someone else in that place. But I'll take it. I'll take it. And for the artists that we do have on here, besides Danny Brown, wasn't a lot of people that we actually were very popular or knew about, but they did their thing. Yeah. I like the fact of that. If you're not a Run the Jewels fan, this is a great album to usher you in. Listen to this one and go back listen to the other ones. Killer Mike, LP, definitely two hip-hop legends. They will definitely be known more. But like I said, I was a little nervous going in. I love the fact, and I love their content. I love what they talk about. I love that they actually talk about things that matter.
Yeah, absolutely.
Even though L kind of gets off and just rhyming words with Smurfs and perfs and da-da, he just rhymes stuff together, Mike pulls it back together. So I think that's the marriage between them two that actually makes them very dope to me. But when L wants to get focused and talk about something, they have a topic at hand, he did his thing and talked about it. So I did it. I rated it as an 82, but with the content, I bumped it up 5, and I gave it 87 as well. Because I had it written down 82, and I was like, I can't not give him credit for talking about things that matter.
Right, I mean? Yeah. That gets a little extra credit points.
It does get extra credit points, man, because when you get an album, sometimes people just talking can make a song about loving a girl or something like that, and you end up being like, okay, we all kind of have been there, and that kind of don't matter at this point.
Yeah.
But so I gave it an 87, man.
Hey, I like it.
Hey, so let us know what you think. Was it too high, too low? Let us know. I know some Run the Jewel fans, probably some haters out there too.
Yeah, listen, let's just be clear. We liked it. We liked it.
Yeah, I think people realize we actually go in, we break the albums down, and talk about them, and it's like we get critical because there's no perfect albums out there.
Right. So it's very hard to get one.
So so if you don't know, we gave it an 87 out of 100.
Yes.
All right.
You
so
know
we do it like great in the
strong B plus.
Yeah, strong B plus. You almost had an A.
Yeah.
Almost. Had an A. Yeah. So let us know what you think, man. So as always, man, I'm Nate here.
It's Kev.
2/3 of Supergroup. That's Games Music Life. Drink more water, people.
Peace.
Peace.